Hi, everyone. Welcome to the newly named Thoughtful Thursdays and our live meditation. We're going to jump right into a trajectory shift meditation. So for those of you that have done those and know what they are, hope you're excited to revisit it. For those who are new, this is an exciting opportunity to kind of shift our life path. So it's kind of like that, if I could go back and do it again concept, and you can, and we're going to tonight. I'm just going to begin by asking you to take a deep breath to really connect with yourself, where you are in this moment, allowing your body to relax, allowing yourself to feel the peace and the quiet of the moment. I've uploaded an image today that is of a road. Looks like it might be deep in the mountains, the Rocky Mountains maybe. There's snow on it. But it feels really quiet to me. So I invite you to connect with that quiet, with that road. Even if the space around you isn't perfectly quiet, connect with the sensation of quiet. Maybe there's quiet in your body. If you're a person that experiences a lot of pain or suffering, you can be aware of that, where that pain is, and then I want you to become aware of a part of your body that's not in pain. Even if it's your eyelashes, or the bottom of your feet, or the crook of your arm. Connect to a part of your body that's just resting, that's feeling still and comforted. Now allow that stillness to spread, particularly to your mind. There are so many of us that expect to suffer. And some of us even feel empowered by our suffering. It makes us feel valuable or important or strong. Tonight I'm going to invite you to enter a space where the suffering is not valuable, where you can let it go for a few moments and find yourself peaceful and relaxed. Now, I want you to feel as though your experience of life is a movie that has been recorded. And I want you to imagine that someone has hit rewind on that recording. Imagine rolling backwards. You might have flashes of major events in your life, holidays or birthdays or marriages or divorces or births, all the different things, and keep rewinding back through all those major events in your life, all the jobs you've had, the schooling, going back to being a young adult, to being a teenager. Continuing to let that rewind through your adolescence, through your preteen years, into your childhood. I remember school, friends, family events, continuing to rewind into being a toddler, into being an infant, into being in the womb. I want you to continue to let your story rewind all the way back to what you perceive as its beginnings. For some people, they perceive birth as their beginning. For some, it's conception. There are those that believe in a pre-existence or in reincarnation, that they have lived multiple lives. What I want you to do is to speed up that rewind all the way to the moment that you began existing, however you define that. And then I want you to go one moment before that. One moment before you came into existence. And I want you to connect to that moment. And whether you experience that moment yourself or as a larger perspective, I want you to write down why it is you exist. Why were you brought into existence? Were there those who existed before you and that they brought you into existence for a specific reason? Was there a new thought born that you were destined to participate in? Was there something in the birth of your own soul that demanded your existence? Why were you born? And if you don't have an answer to that question, if you ask that question and nothing comes, describe the nothing. Why do you exist? I'm going to give you just a couple of moments to write about this. And I'm going to let you know I will come in and I may interrupt your writing. But I'm going to want you to contemplate during the week. So even if you don't feel complete on any level of this meditation, you'll have more opportunities to return to it. So I'm going to give you a couple of moments of silence to answer that question. Why do you exist? Okay, for those of you who are still writing, you can continue to write. If at any point you need to pause the video, you can pause it and come back. It will remain on our website. For those of you that are ready to move forward, I want you to imagine now coming into this life, being born into it. So imagine in your birth, and imagine that there was no interference, that no one told you you couldn't be who you are. No one stood in the way of it. Everyone in your environment supported you living in the full potential of why you were born to exist, bringing from that the most you could possibly bring. So imagine being born, imagine being very young, being a toddler or even an infant still, if that's how it comes to you. And imagine, without interference, without being told you can't be who you are, being born into a life where you know why you were born, why you exist. How are you as a small child, an infant or a toddler? What is the nature of your being? What are your moods? What do you notice? What do you think of the world and of yourself? Again, I'm going to give you about a minute or two, again, to write. Silent time for writing begins now. Okay, so if you're still writing, you can continue to write. Again, you can pause the video if needed, or you can come back to these throughout the week. What I invite you to do now is to imagine you're growing as a child uninhibited, that you know who you are and why you were destined to exist, and everyone in your environment supports that. No one stands in the way or tries to dictate or tell you who to be. Life just allows you to be a natural expansion, evolution of who you know yourself to be, who you are meant to be in your existence. And now I invite you to imagine yourself growing up to, let's say, preteen or early teen years. As you grow into these years that can often be difficult if we don't know our reason for being, how is it you experience them when you do know, when you haven't had interference, when everyone's been supportive and told you you can be whoever you want to be? Allow yourself to imagine that. What is your perception of the world and of yourself? What type of person are you? How do you exist in the world? Again, I'm going to give you some silent time for writing. That silence begins now. So again, if you need to continue to write, you can do that for those who are ready to move forward, or if you want to just return to finish anything later, I'm going to ask you to allow yourself now to continue to grow. Again, growing uninhibited. Everything in the world is supporting you being who you know you were meant to be. Imagine growing to being in your late teens or early 20s. You're coming into adulthood, and you've been able to grow uninhibited. You've been able to be who you are and know your reason for existing. So as you move into your adulthood, what is it you move into? What path do you begin to take? What is your opinion of yourself internally and your opinion of the world around you? What is your way of interacting with it? Who are you meant to be as you move into the world? So again, I'll give us a couple of moments of silence before we move into the last part of the meditation for writing, and that silence begins now. As you're writing, contemplate, what kind of relationships do I have? What do I do for my work? What is my family life? Am I still connected to my family of origin? Or is my main focal point for my family my offspring? Or is family something I've defined for my community? Who am I as I continue to expand into this adult life? And as the final stage of this meditation, again, if you need to pause for a moment to continue writing anything, you can, but you can go back to. I'm going to recommend that throughout the week you return to this meditation and expound on any areas where you wanted to write more or where you can get deeper into the questions. But what I want to do tonight is leave you with a final question. So what I'm going to do is do this final question, and then I'm going to sign off and let you continue with your meditation at your own speed and pace so that you can write for as long as you want. Now, I want you to imagine that you've grown in this way, uninhibited, again, supported, no one standing in the way of you living your reason for being. And I want you to feel that being that has grown this way in your own body. So imagine that this has been your life, that your whole life you've known who you are, why you exist, and no one's ever stood in the way of that. Just imagining that there was no teacher that told you couldn't, or family member that might have not been as kind as they could have been, or kids at school to interfere. Just imagine that you're the person who's grown up, uninhibited, able to know who you are, move in the direction you want to move. And I want you to ask the question, who am I here? And what is mine to do? If I could take a step in any direction that makes me feel more like I'm living my reason for existence, what would that be? And if I dared, what step would I take? Again, this is a contemplation. You don't have to force yourself to do anything. Just by asking the question, it's stimulating the insula, triggering cognitive abilities in your brain and motivation that will drive natural occurrences or opportunities to form. So again, who are you today as this person? And what might you be able to create next? What step might you be able to take next? If there was no interference, if no one stood in your way, what might you be able to do? Again, I'm going to go ahead and sign off and allow you to continue the meditation and write your contemplation for as long as you like. Again, remember to return daily. 20 minutes a day is the meditation I recommend. Return to your contemplations, expand on anything you wanted to expand on. I hope you have a beautiful evening.